you pour into your small business, it is natural for you to think about its growth, and maybe you're thinking about getting a warehouse space for your business. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through a checklist of the things that I followed and things that I think are great practices if you are looking into getting your very first warehouse space. The first thing on our warehouse ready checklist is whether or not you have growing inventory. So what I mean by this is, are you continuing to grow your product lines, and are you currently having demand for your products where you are continuously buying inventory? If that is the case, that might be one of your first signs that you're ready for a warehouse. The second item on our warehouse ready checklist is whether or not you're dealing with space limitations. And what I really mean by that is your current workspace hindering you from being the most productive? It's very important that you're honest with yourself on whether or not your current workspace is sufficient, because I can see a lot of people trying to talk themselves into getting one just because their space is cluttered or they have a lot of things. And there's ways to work around that, like decluttering or throwing away things that you're not using, or running a massive inventory sale, for just trying to get rid of unsold products. I am truly an advocate for those who are able to have a home workshop and ride with that as long as you can. Our warehouse lease actually just recently ended, and when it ended, we were able to buy a house with a separate structure in the back that we run the business out of. This has been amazing for us and game changing because there's no commute to a warehouse, and also it brought our costs down a bunch. So if you are able to, use a spare room, or if you have a separate building on your property, try looking into that first before committing to a warehouse space, because those things are costly. Another thing I want to talk about, which I briefly touched over in my how to find a warehouse video, which I'll link in the description box below, is look into different types of industrial spaces, because you don't necessarily have to get a big warehouse space like a flex space. If you can get away with getting an office space, try to do that. Or if your issue is storage, maybe just try to get a storage unit, because that will bring your costs up just a little bit as opposed to getting an entire warehouse space. The third item on the warehouse ready checklist is the biggest part of this puzzle and to be expected, but do you have a healthy cash flow and savings for your business? The general rule that I follow and what I recommend is to always have 3 to 6 months of business expenses in your business account at all times. And the reason why is because you don't want to have to rely on that month's sales to be able to pay your bills and essentially be running paycheck to paycheck for your business. You have to keep in mind that having a warehouse space is going to come with its own set of expenses, like the warehouse rent, your utilities, what you pay property management, even what you pay staff. And then also it's highly likely that if you have, or you're inquiring about a warehouse space, that you're self-employed, and you also have your rent or your mortgage, your bills you have to pay, and all these different things. So you want to make sure that you can withstand all those type of things without your business going down the drain. The main thing is that you don't want to take on too much too soon, because the blessing could turn into a curse if you can't pay for it. And warehouse leases are generally longer leases, so you don't want to get stuck somewhere that you can't pay for and cry every night. The fourth item to determine whether or not you're warehouse ready is, do you have consistent demand for your products? And by the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please hit the subscribe button, or even possibly like the video down below so that people can find me. But it is very normal for businesses to have seasonal fluctuations. Of course, during the holiday season, a lot of us sell a lot more products, or I sell candles. So in the fall and the winter, I see an increase in sales. But what I'm talking about is more dramatic changes. Like, for example, if you had a viral video, blew up one day, you don't want to run and get a warehouse without seeing how steady those sales are, because you want to have a community of people or clientele that you can consistently reach out to who are genuinely interested in your product, so that you know that you'll continue to grow. The fifth and final item for today to determine whether or not you are ready for a warehouse is, are you considering getting staff? Are you selling so many products that you literally can't keep up with the demand? Or are you working in the business so much that you can't work on the business, and there's other things that you could be working on to help scale the business? If that's the case, then that might be a sign that you are ready for a warehouse, because of course you can't have employees working in your home. This is actually one of the struggle points I currently have in my business, because as I shared earlier, when my lease ended, my husband and I purchased a house with a separate structure in the back where we run run our business, and it's to the point where I could actually use an extra hand. However, I am loving my home workshop and I don't want to sign another warehouse lease right now. So I'm trying to ride this out as long as possible, and I encourage you to work with the current space that you have as long as you can. But if you are ready to move into a warehouse space and your business is growing to the point where it's not an option for you, then congratulations, go ahead and make that step and grow your business. Please let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, and I can share from my experience what it was like getting a warehouse, or any questions that you have, and I'll try my best to respond to all the comments. But until next time, I will see you guys in the next one. Toodaloo!